I know that open is all football still, but no, we're meshing. We're meshing right now. Football and basketball. Illinois football's not done yet. Basketball really just getting started, just opened Big Ten play on Tuesday night. We're keeping going through the rest of the season for Illinois basketball as well. We're going to talk about the football team. They're headed to Nashville for a bowl game. We're going to recap basketball wins over Tennessee and Ohio State. We're going to preview this weekend's Nebraska game. And then we have to talk a little bit about the college football playoff as a whole, the final rankings, and then I've got one quick thought there to end the show. Let's talk about this basketball team. They go on the road, pretty much on the road, to Nashville and beat Tennessee 75-62. I said a week ago that I said it was basically going to be a Tennessee home game. I'm sorry to Illinois fans. I did not realize how many of you would be down in Nashville. It was a really impressive showing for Illinois fans there in that game. It took a dominant second half for Illinois to win this game. They're actually down a couple of points at halftime. They end up winning by 13. I thought Tommy Ivisic was really impressive. I don't really need him to take 6 threes, though. I prefer him to be down closer to the paint most of the time. Now, he's shown that he can shoot some threes, and that's why he's doing it. But he's 7 feet tall. I want him down close to the basket. I know it's not 1960 anymore, but 6 is a lot from a guy like him when he is a really good player in the paint. But again, dominant second half. This Illinois team is starting to come together, it seems. Keaton Wagler, Kylan Boswell, Andrei Stojakovic, who didn't have his best game against Tennessee. I thought they were all really good down the stretch. They won this game because they shot it way better. End of story. That's why they won. And sometimes basketball is a pretty simple sport. You make more shots, you're going to win. And that's what Illinois did, especially in that second half. They got some threes to go down as well when Tennessee was really struggling. They got out-rebounded. You can say, well, Tennessee missed a lot more shots, so that makes sense, but then that means Tennessee was grabbing a lot more offensive rebounds, which they were as well. So they got out-rebounded, and for being as big of a team as Illinois is, shouldn't be out-rebounded, especially to that extent by 15. And then they turned Tennessee over a little bit more than they turned it over themselves. So a good win from Illinois. The other thing that they did was they stopped Tennessee's best player, Jacoby Gillespie. Pretty much had him in a blender the entire game, 6 of 20. I mean, he got 15, but 6 of 20, you're going to take that. Just 3 of 9 from 3, and he turned it over a few times as well. He was the guy that they had to be locked in on to make sure that they were going to be able to go into a somewhat hostile environment in Nashville and get a tough non-conference road win. Now, Tennessee, they're kind of in shambles right now. They've lost a bunch of games here in the last week and a half, 2 weeks or so. But this was a good win, and they stopped the guy that they needed to stop. Good scouting report from Brad Underwood and all those guys. 2-2 in tough non-conference games for Illinois this season. Missouri is still to come. Other notes from this game, Andrei Stojakovic only played 21 minutes, and it's not because of foul trouble. I want him on the court a little bit more. I'm nitpicking here. Ben Hummerkaus had 26 minutes off the bench, 2 points, I think. And then we're starting to see a true 8-man rotation with the starting 5 and then Hummerkaus and Zvonimir Ivisic, and then a couple of guys mixed in here and there. But it's really turning into a true 8-man rotation that we're seeing as we head into Big Ten play. Speaking of Big Ten play, opened up Tuesday night, 88-80 win over Ohio State. First true road game of the year, first Big Ten game of the year, and they got out of Value City Arena with a win. It was pretty back and forth, I thought, especially at the end of the first half. Illinois, they had an 8-10 point lead there with a few minutes left in the first half, and then Bruce Thornton just kept pulling Ohio State back. We'll get to him in a second. But Illinois shot it well again. And this was something that I said last week was, I don't know if this team can shoot. Because they were very deep ball dependent last year and they couldn't make any of them, and it really kind of killed their season. And I saw shades of that here in this early non-conference part of the season. Have not seen that the last two games. They're shooting it well, and the free throws, 29 to 32, every coach in America would take that. And that was also another concern early on in the season. They basically lost the Alabama game because they didn't shoot free throws well. But you're getting free throws to go in, you're getting three-pointers to go in, and your field goal percentage is in the mid-40s. I mean, if you want to really bite down on something that you'd like to see better, you maybe want your field goal percentage to be a tick higher. But it's 44.5% is going to do you just fine, especially if you're making 40% of your threes and missing 3 out of 30 free throws. Points in the paint, only 24. Ohio State had 34, for example. And I'd like to see, again, like I mentioned with Tommy, I want to see him in the paint a little bit more in the paint for both the Ivisic twins. Z is shooting a lot of threes too, although he's getting way less minutes. But he's still shooting 3-4 a game. One of them's going in, so you take that. But again, these guys are huge. They're 7 feet tall. They can score in the paint. They're skilled enough to score in the paint. I still, as you get deeper into Big Ten play, think that they're going to have to do that a little bit more, because if you're going to be 7 feet tall just to stand outside the three-point line, I don't think you're as effective as you could be. Again, Tommy, 6 threes. He only made one of them. He's shooting a better percentage than 1 of 6. But in this game, 1 of 6. I want him in the paint a little bit more. I think I'm good on the Ben Hummerkaus minutes. I mean, he had, 20 minutes in this game, and he's just kind of out there running around. And he just doesn't add much from what I've seen this year. The problem with that is that Illinois is seemingly a little bit thin, or at least that's what Brad Underwood is showing us with the rotation. They're a little bit thin at the wing. And you need somebody that can pull you out of that a little bit. You need guys to take a seat at some point, so I get it. But I don't love what Ben Hummerkaus brings to the hardwood. He can defend a little bit, but he when he takes shots, they're all threes. He doesn't shoot them at a high enough clip for me to want him out there. Jake Davis, on the other hand, doesn't really defend, but he can shoot threes at a higher level, so it's kind of pick your poison there. And that's, I think, what Illinois is trying to figure out there with their wing rotation, because they don't have a lot of depth there, at least from what we've seen with the Brad Underwood's rotation. I mentioned Bruce Thornton. This Ohio State team is a one-man show, and he gave them a lot on Tuesday night. 34. I mentioned at the end of the first half, he was just going off to keep them in the game, really. 13 of 17, 6 of 9 3 points. Watching this, I got a little bit worried about who is Illinois' best on-ball defender. I think it's pretty clearly Kylan Boswell, but Bruce Thornton's not big, and Kylan Boswell is smaller than Bruce Thornton, and Bruce Thornton was still able to get his. Now, really good players are going to score the ball. They're going to. It's not really the 34. It's the 13 of 17. Wasn't uncomfortable. He missed one shot from the field that wasn't a three. So Thornton was able to get to where he wanted to go without much pushback. And when your best on-ball defender is Kylan Boswell, anybody that's over really Thornton's size at 6'2" could become a problem, because Andre Stojakovic, I don't think, is a good enough defender to say, hey, Andre, go take that guy, go take their best guy out. I don't think he's that. David Mirkovic is a forward, really, although he plays a little bit like a guard, but he's a forward, so he can't stay in front of these smaller guys, I wouldn't think, as well. So that's another thing that they're going to have to try to figure out here as the season goes on, is who's taking the best guy. And maybe it can become Keaton Wagler, but he's a freshman, and maybe he'll get there, defensively at some point. But he's playing very well offensively. I don't know if I would want to take him and make him our defensive anchor, so to speak. But like I mentioned, when it got thick, Keaton Wagler and David Mirkovich, they had answers for Illinois. And I think Illinois has done a good job this year of being able to let whoever's hot take over. Sometimes it's Keaton Wagler, sometimes it's Mirkovich, sometimes it's Stojakovic, sometimes it's Kylan Boswell. They've done a pretty good job at switching it up and letting whoever has the hot hand keep the ball in their hands, really. Good road win, good win to open Big Ten play. This is a decent Ohio State team with a really good player in Bruce Thornton, like I mentioned. Another big one on Saturday at the State Farm Center, ranked Nebraska, number 23 Nebraska, coming to Champaign. Game is a Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock tip. Second Big Ten game for Illinois before they jockey back to the non-conference and then hop back into Big Ten play for the rest of the way. What does Nebraska do well? Well, they're 18th in the country in assist-to-turnover ratio, and that's not because they're getting a huge amount of assists. Their assist numbers are pretty average, but they don't turn the ball over very much. And then they're also 9th in fouls per game. They don't foul really at all. Illinois is 7th in that same category, by the way. Rink Mast is the guy that you need to know for Nebraska. Tall, lanky forward that can step out and shoot and then can also take you to the block. He's really skilled. He obviously comes from Europe, but really skilled and can get to wherever he wants and is comfortable shooting from anywhere he wants as well. 45.5% from three-point line is outstanding, obviously, but he doesn't take a ton of them. He'll take about 3-4 a game. So when he does step out there, he puts them in at a pretty high clip. So you're going to have to be cognizant of that. I think this is a David Mirkovich type of matchup here, similar sizes, and Mirk is skilled in that way as well, just like Mr. Mast. It's going to be a difficult matchup here for Illinois, but I think at some point it becomes Mirkovich's matchup. And hey, Brad Underwood's been on him about rebounding, about his defense. This is one of those games where that comes into play. I think Mirkovich, I think Tommy are going to have to take a lot of the load and the pressure defensively off of the rest of the guys on the court throughout this game, because they need some sort of block presence defensively as well as offensively. Defensively, Ivasic does tend to stay on the block, when he can, depending on who he's matched up with. Mirkovich is a little bit more out to the three-point line, willing to sit down in a defensive stance and guard somebody that maybe he's bigger than. Ivasic, I think, is going to have to be that help defender when Mirk is on Mast a little bit more than maybe he has had to do so far this season. Haven't seen a ton of huge, really good bigs in this non-conference schedule for Illinois. I think Mast is probably the best one that they've seen to this point this year, so I think that's a little bit interesting as well. You have to wear Mast out on defense if you can, and that's where Mirkovich's skill comes into play as well. You want to try to run him around, make sure he's following you all around. They may switch on defense. You don't really know until the ball is tipped off. We'll see what Nebraska ends up doing with him defensively. You also need to watch out for Price Sandfort. I think you guys probably recognize that name from the last couple of years at Iowa. Yeah, he's at Nebraska now. Another really good forward that can step out, hit a couple of shots on you just to make you respect it, and then just take it to you in the paint. He's averaging 16 and 5 on the season. Like I mentioned, starter the last 2 years at Iowa. With all that being said, for the prediction, I think Illinois is going to win this game at home. Already have picked up one Big Ten win. Nebraska, I think they have two guys, two good players, but 2 guys. I think Illinois has 3 or 4. They have another level. I like the guard matchup in Illinois' favor, heavily in Illinois' favor. Keaton Wagler, Kylan Boswell, Stojakovic. I think they should all be able to get to the rim against the guys that are on them and be able to play a really solid and efficient offensive game. And I'm not too worried about defensively against Mast and Sanford, because if there's anywhere that Illinois does have depth, it's at that forward position. If Tommy goes out with foul trouble, his brother's coming in, Big Z. So they've got guys there that can keep you in the game if you run into foul trouble with one of your main guys there. So I'll pick Illinois to win. I think it'll be a good game. I think Nebraska is a pretty good team, top 23 for a reason. But I think Illinois gets to 2-0 in Big Ten Conference play, and then they got Missouri and Southern, and then back to Big Ten play. I mentioned football at the top of the show. Their season's not over yet. Even if a lot of people want these bowl games to go away, they're not going away, at least right now. They're going to play a game December 30th in Nashville in the Music City Bowl, the Liberty Mutual Music City Bowl. That's the one-time Liberty Mutual, you get me to say it. They're playing 8-4 Tennessee. Really the question over the last 7 years when you come to bowl game, or decade really, when you come to bowl games, is who's playing. We don't really know that yet. Luke Altmaier, is he going to play? Gabe Akis, is he going to play? There's a few others that you think maybe could sit out. But we haven't seen anybody hop in the portal yet for Illinois. It hasn't opened yet, but players can hop in whenever they want. They haven't done that. So that's a good sign. I still think that this is an important game for Illinois and for the program as a whole. It's a good way to cap off a good year. If they can go in and beat a good SEC team. Everybody was so excited last year when they beat South Carolina in the Citrus Bowl. Why is it any different? Because you lost one extra game? I disagree with that. They still have a chance to win 9 games in back-to-back seasons for the first time ever. Ever. And I think that's really important. And I think they're going to show up to play. We're going to talk about this game a little bit more over the next couple of weeks as we get closer to it. But Brett Bielema on Sunday spoke about what a bowl game in general means to Illinois and the program and what it means for this year's team.
I don't know anything about who's playing or not playing. I'm sure I'll have a lot of conversations this week. I've had some beginning conversation with the guys. Also, there's some guys that have some season ending or some surgeries that got to take place after the season, so we got a lot of those conversations going on as well. But do a little bit of just Illinois versus Illinois this week. Kind of have a lot of developmental practice this week as we game prep and get ready for Tennessee. Offense, defense, special teams. We'll probably get in 5 to 6 quality good practices before we leave for Nashville. The buzz and the energy around our program. Obviously, the out of season last year, we probably for me in particular, I just had a lot more coming at me about people that were interested in doing stories on us about our guys and what it is. I think it takes people a while to get used to Illinois being good in football, right? And I think because of that, the more we can sustain it, like Josh and I have talked about since I got here, that's probably the biggest deal.
Yeah, so the teams that think that they should be competing for national championship every year might not care about the Music City Bowl. But for Illinois, it's an important game, and it really can springboard you into another good year next year. So it's an important game. I hope they come out to play. Early thoughts on Tennessee. I have some. They've been up and down all year. Their offense is really good. Their defense is really bad. Maybe not really bad, but it's not good. They fired their defensive coordinator earlier this week, so there's going to be some transition there heading into this game, certainly. I think we, like Illinois, we have to find out who's playing. You can see the stats there. Good offensive categories, bad defensive categories. Turnovers are pretty good as well, turnover margin rather. So I think just like for Illinois, I want to see who's playing. We haven't really seen any announcements for really any bowl games really so far this year. I'm going to assume that Joey Aguilar, Tennessee's quarterback, is going to play in that game. He's trying to get another year of eligibility. I don't think he's an NFL draft pick. So I'm going to assume that he's playing, and He's very good. He's had a great year. So I'm going to assume that that's the case, but need to know more. There's a lot of NFL talent on this Tennessee team. I hope they all play because it would be great for Illinois to go and beat a fully staffed and healthy Tennessee team. We will see. A lot of anger this past weekend with the college football playoff, the college football playoff rankings, the final rankings. We have the bracket now. What did you think? What did you think of these rankings? We're going to show them here in a second. I think the stars denote conference championship winners here in these rankings. I think that in the end, the playoff committee got it right. Meaning Miami is in, Notre Dame is out. We're going to talk more about Notre Dame here in a second. Again, the stars denote the conference champions. 1 through 4 has a bye. And here we go. I think Texas A&M could be ahead, should be probably ahead of Ole Miss and maybe even Oregon. Surprised to see them all the way down there at 7. Bama didn't get punished at all for getting waxed in the SEC championship game, which was a fear of mine. I think they could have been punished and dropped a spot, but I didn't want them to get punished and left out because that would have meant the end of SEC championship games and playoff overhaul again. So I was happy that they are still in the field, but I think they could have dropped a spot. They have not played good football over the last month. Again, Miami is brought back from the dead and put into the college football playoff field. Notre Dame gets left out. So the biggest round 1 matchups, Oklahoma and Bama. Bama on the road, and then Miami heading on the road to Texas A&M. Those are both really exciting games. Everyone's mad about the 2 group of 5 teams. That's just how it played out. ACC champion Duke had 5 losses. What did you want them to do? Not put Duke in with 5 losses? No. Everybody's mad about the group of 5 schools, but that's how they set it up. It's not like we had a say on how this format or how this playoff was formatted rather. But again, like I said, I think the committee got it right having Miami in. They beat them head to head. They deserve to get in, had the same record, really similar metrics. With that being said, that I think they got it right, the process is ridiculous. The weekly rankings are probably one of the dumbest things that we have as a sport because they just fluctuate way too much. Miami lost to, at the time, a good SMU team and fell all the way to 18, which gave Notre Dame the thought that, okay, we're up at like 12, something like that at the time. They can't make that up unless we lose again. And Notre Dame didn't lose again, but still Miami ended up catching them because the committee had to course correct because they just dropped them all the way to 18, thinking that they were going to lose another game. The process is crazy. I'm kind of done with college football playoff committees. I think that they should just end up using the BCS system to rank 1 through 12. You want to give a group of 5 team in there as well, that's fine with me. I don't really subscribe to the group of 5 should be completely blocked from being in it. I don't know if we need auto qualifiers for the group of 5, but that's another conversation. So I think they should just use the BCS system, rank them. Everybody can understand it. The committee is just making it up as they go. BCS rankings, everybody knows them. I do think, though, because there's 2 group of 5 teams, not everything, but there will be another rule change. We had a rule change after the first one last year where only conference champions could get the bye. That changed. Just the top 4 that are ranked get a bye now. Maybe we're going to have a rule where it can still only be one group of 5 conference champion. If there's another Power 4 that's not ranked high enough, it just becomes an at-large. I don't know, but we're going to find out. I think probably not soon, but before next year if they really want to change it. Now, I mentioned Notre Dame a lot. I have a lot of thoughts. Call it one quick thought, but it's a lot of thoughts. Getting left out of the playoff and their response to it, I thought was pretty embarrassing. You can be upset that you didn't get in. I do get that. if they played Miami tomorrow, I would pick Notre Dame to win because I think they're better. But I don't even care who I think is better. I definitely don't care who the committee thinks is better. Miami played Notre Dame and beat them. They ended up with the same record. To me, it's just the end of the story. But to just take your ball and go home and say, screw the world, everything's against us, we're not playing in the stupid Pop-Tarts Bowl, I think it was a pretty ridiculous showing of leadership from Notre Dame, basically saying when things don't go your way, we're just going to whine and quit. A couple of years ago, Georgia was 12-0 and lost in the SEC championship game and dropped completely out of the 4-team playoff. What did that coach and that program do? They went to the Orange Bowl and murdered Florida State. Plus, it turns out Notre Dame's doing all this complaining, knowing that in the years to come, for some reason, they're assured a spot in the field if they're ranked inside the top 12. Meaning if it's the exact same scenario next year, exact same, Miami would have been the team left out because of this Notre Dame memorandum of some sorts. It's ridiculous, all of it, especially the process of ranking and selecting the teams, even if, in my opinion, they got it right eventually. But here we go. I'm sure a 14 or 16-team playoff is coming so that an 8-4 Missouri or something can feel burned by being left out, because that's all that expansion does. It makes worse teams believe that they deserve a shot at playing for a national championship when I don't think they do. You lose multiple games, I don't think you should be able to cry about it. Win them all, you'll have your shot. That's our show. We're back next week. We're talking more basketball. Illinois basketball just rolling, chugging. And we're going to be here until through the NCAA tournament, maybe. I don't know. We haven't had that planned out all the way. But I think we're gonna be here through the rest of the Illinois basketball season. We're going to keep talking about the football team and their bowl game, dive into Tennessee maybe a little bit more in the weeks to come. We've got a lot coming. Hopefully you watch next week. Let everybody know that this is where you find it. WAND Now app, really easy. We'll see you next week.